Every single year, thousands of peach, plum, and cherry growers stand under a tree loaded with blossoms in spring, get excited, and then watch almost none of that turn into real fruit by summer, and most of them never figure out why. If you've ever looked at a tree covered in flowers and ended up with a handful of peaches, you are not alone, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what's going wrong and how to fix it for good. Before we go any further, if you're serious about growing more fruit, healthier trees, and actually harvesting baskets instead of a handful every season, hit that subscribe button right now, because every single week I put out real, practical, field-tested tips for peach, plum, and cherry growers. Not textbook theory, but stuff that actually works when your boots are in the orchard dirt. This channel is built for people who want results, not just pretty videos. So if that's you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the real reason your stone fruit trees are underperforming, the simple biological explanation behind it that most people never learn, and then I'm going to give you the exact step-by-step method that professional orchard growers use to get consistent, heavy fruit set year after year. By the end of this video, you're going to understand your trees on a completely different level, and you're going to know exactly what to do this season to turn those blossoms into buckets of fruit. Let's talk about the problem first, because before we fix anything, you need to understand what's actually happening out there in your orchard. Most home growers, and even a lot of small commercial growers, make the same mistake. They assume that if a tree blooms, it's automatically going to fruit. That is one of the biggest misunderstandings in stone fruit growing. A tree can be absolutely covered in blossoms, thousands of them, and still end up with barely any fruit at harvest time. Why? Because blooming and fruiting are two completely different biological events, and there's a whole chain of things that has to happen correctly in between for that blossom to actually turn into a peach, a plum, or a cherry hanging on the branch. When growers don't understand this chain, they blame the weather, they blame bad luck, they blame the variety, when in reality, the problem is almost always something they did or didn't do at a very specific point in the tree's yearly cycle. One of the most common mistakes I see, especially with backyard growers and even some new commercial operations, is poor pollination management. People assume bees will just show up and do the job, and sometimes they do, but stone fruit trees like peaches, plums, and cherries are far more sensitive to pollination timing and weather conditions than most people realize. If it's cold, windy, rainy, or the bee activity is low during that narrow window when the flowers are receptive, pollination fails, and no pollination means no fruit, no matter how many blossoms you had. Another huge mistake is over-fertilizing with nitrogen in early spring. Growers see their tree looking a little weak and dump nitrogen on it thinking they're helping, but excess nitrogen pushes the tree into aggressive vegetative growth, lots of leaves, lots of green shoots, at the expense of flower and fruit development. The tree literally redirects its energy toward growing wood instead of growing fruit. Then there's improper pruning. A lot of people either don't prune at all, letting the tree get overcrowded and shaded on the inside, or they prune too aggressively and remove the very wood that would have produced this year's fruit. And finally, one of the silent killers is water stress at the wrong time. Either too much or too little water during fruit set and early fruit development causes the tree to abort a huge percentage of its young fruit as a survival mechanism. Now let's get into the actual science behind this, because once you understand what's happening inside the tree, everything else is going to make a lot more sense, and I promise I'm going to keep this simple. When a peach, plum, or cherry tree blooms, each flower has both male parts, called stamens, which produce pollen, and a female part, called the pistil, which needs to receive that pollen to become fertilized. Once fertilization happens, the tree begins forming a tiny fruit around the developing seed. But here's the part most people don't know. The tree does not have unlimited energy or resources to support every single flower that gets pollinated. Trees are incredibly efficient organisms, and they are constantly making decisions about where to invest their limited carbohydrates and nutrients. This is why you'll often see what's called June drop, or early fruit drop, where a tree that set what looked like a huge crop suddenly drops 30, 40, even 50% of that fruit on its own. This isn't a disease, and it isn't a mistake you made. It's the tree naturally thinning itself because it knows it cannot support that many fruits to full maturity. The problem is, most growers don't help this process along, and they don't create the right conditions for the tree to hold on to as much fruit as possible in the first place. Temperature also plays a massive biological role here. Pollen tube growth, which is how the pollen actually travels down to fertilize the ovule, is extremely temperature sensitive. If nighttime temperatures during bloom drop too low, or if there's a late frost, that pollen tube growth slows down or stops completely, and the flower will simply fail to set fruit even if it looks perfectly pollinated on the outside. This is why timing and protection during bloom season is so critical, and it's something professional growers plan for months in advance. So now let's talk about what the professionals actually do differently, because this is where everything changes for your orchard. Step 1 is proper winter pruning done with fruiting wood in mind, not just shape. Before the tree even wakes up in late winter, experienced growers go through and selectively remove about a third of the previous year's growth, focusing on opening up the canopy so sunlight can reach every part of the tree, not just the outer edges. For peaches specifically, you want to identify healthy, reddish-colored one-year-old shoots because that's where next season's fruit will actually form. Peaches fruit almost exclusively on last year's growth, so if you prune that wood off incorrectly, you're literally cutting off next year's harvest before it even starts. For cherries and plums, you're looking to preserve the short fruiting spurs that develop along older branches, because those spurs can produce fruit for several years in a row if you protect them properly. Step 2 is managing pollination like a professional. This means understanding whether your variety is self-fertile or needs a pollinator partner. A lot of growers plant a single tree, assume it'll be fine, and then wonder why fruit set is poor. Some plum and cherry varieties absolutely require a different compatible variety nearby to cross-pollinate, or you'll get almost no fruit no matter how healthy the tree looks. If you already have a self-fertile variety, you can still dramatically boost fruit set by attracting more pollinators. Professional growers often place beehives directly in or near the orchard during bloom week, and if that's not possible for you, planting early blooming flowers nearby, avoiding any pesticide spraying during bloom, and even hand-pollinating smaller trees with a soft brush during the 2 to 3 days. Each flower is receptive can make a dramatic difference. Hand pollination sounds tedious, but on a small backyard tree, it takes 15 minutes and can double your fruit set in a poor pollination year. Step 3 is thinning the fruit yourself instead of letting the tree do all the work through natural drop. This is the step that shocks most beginner growers because it feels completely counterintuitive. You're going to walk your tree about 4 to 6 weeks after bloom, once the fruit is roughly the size of a marble to a small coin, and you're going to manually remove a significant portion of the young fruit, leaving only one fruit every 4 to 6 inches along the branch for peaches, and similar spacing for plums, with cherries typically needing less aggressive thinning since they're smaller. I know it feels wrong to pull off perfectly good baby fruit, but here's the truth. Every commercial grower knows a tree that tries to ripen 200 small, weak peaches will give you 200 mediocre small fruits, while that same tree thinned down to 80 peaches will pour all of its energy into those 80, giving you significantly larger, sweeter, healthier fruit, and it protects the tree from branch breakage and exhaustion that leads to poor production the following year, too. Step 4 is feeding the tree correctly and at the right time, not just dumping generic fertilizer whenever you remember. Professional growers apply a balanced fertilizer with adequate phosphorus and potassium, not just nitrogen, right after bloom when fruit set is happening, because phosphorus supports root and flower development, while potassium is directly linked to fruit size and sugar content. Nitrogen is important too, but it should be applied earlier, in late winter to very early spring, and in moderate amounts, so the tree has enough vigor without going overboard into pure leaf and shoot production. A soil test once a year will tell you exactly what your specific soil is lacking instead of guessing. And this single habit alone separates hobby growers from serious ones. Step 5 is water management during the critical fruit development window. This is one of the most overlooked techniques. From fruit set all the way through the final few weeks before ripening, your tree needs consistent, even moisture, not flooding, not drought, but steady, deep watering, roughly 1 to 2 inches per week depending on your climate and soil type, delivered slowly so it soaks deep into the root zone rather than running off the surface. Drip irrigation or a slow soaker hose at the base of the tree is far superior to a quick sprinkle because inconsistent watering, especially right before ripening, is one of the leading causes of split fruit, cracked cherries, and premature fruit drop. Now let's actually walk out to the tree because I want you to picture this like we're standing there together. Look at a healthy peach branch from last year's growth. You're looking for wood. That's a nice reddish-brown color with visible buds spaced along it, not thick gray older wood. Those plump, slightly fuzzy buds are your flower buds, and they're usually a little rounder and fatter than the pointier, flatter leaf buds sitting right next to them. When bloom time comes, watch closely for the timing. Peach blossoms are usually a striking pink. Plum blossoms tend to be white and appear before the leaves fully open, and cherry blossoms come in white clusters that practically explode all at once along the branch. During that bloom week, get out there in the mornings when it's warm and sunny, because that's peak pollinator activity time, and you'll actually see bees moving from flower to flower if you stand still and watch for a minute. A week or two after petal fall, you'll start to see tiny green nubs forming where the flower was. That's your fertilized fruit beginning to develop, and this is exactly when you start watching for natural drop and planning your thinning pass. Now I want to hear from you directly, because this really matters for how I plan future videos on this channel. Comment the word thin down below if you have never manually thinned your fruit trees before, because I have a feeling a huge number of people watching this video are about to try this technique for the very first time this season, and I want to know how many of you are in that boat. If you've already been thinning your trees, comment PRO instead and let me know in a sentence or two what results you've seen from doing it. I read every single comment, and honestly, some of the best tips I've ever learned came from growers in the comment section sharing what worked in their specific climate and soil. Now here's something most growers, even ones who've been doing this for years, genuinely don't know, and I consider this the golden tip of this entire video. Most people think fruit thinning is only about final fruit size, but professional orchardists use thinning as a tool to control alternate bearing, which is when a tree produces a massive crop one year and then almost nothing the following year. This happens because an overloaded tree spends so much energy ripening this year's fruit that it fails to properly develop next year's flower buds during late summer, which is actually when next year's blossoms are being formed inside the tree, months before you ever see them. So here's the insider secret. If you thin your fruit aggressively enough in a heavy bloom year, you're not just improving this year's fruit quality, you're actually protecting and setting up next year's harvest at the same time because you're freeing up the tree's energy reserves in July and August to properly form strong flower buds for the following spring. Almost nobody explains thinning this way. But once you understand this connection, you'll never look at an unproductive year the same way again. It's very often a direct result of what happened or didn't happen on that tree 12 months earlier. Before we wrap up, let's go through the common mistakes you absolutely want to avoid this season, because I've made almost every one of these myself over the years. Do not skip winter pruning thinking you'll let the tree figure itself out, because an overcrowded canopy leads to poor light penetration, weak fruiting wood, and increased disease pressure from lack of airflow. Do not spray any pesticides, including some organic ones, during the actual bloom period, because you will kill the very pollinators you need for fruit set. Always spray either well before bloom or after petal fall. Do not skip thinning because it feels wasteful, because an unthinned tree produces smaller, lower quality fruit and risks broken limbs from overloading, sometimes damaging the tree structurally for years to come. Do not overwater or underwater inconsistently right before harvest, because that inconsistency is directly responsible for most fruit splitting and cracking problems people blame on bad genetics or bad luck. And finally, do not ignore your soil. So many growers focus entirely on the tree above ground and completely neglect what's happening at the root level, when in reality, healthy, well-fed, properly draining soil is the actual foundation that everything else depends on. If you take just 3 things away from this video, let it be this. Understand that blooming and fruiting are separate events with a whole biological process in between that you can actually influence. Commit to thinning your fruit even when it feels uncomfortable because your future harvest depends on it, and remember that what you do to your tree this summer directly determines how much fruit you get next spring. Growing consistent, heavy harvests of peaches, plums, and cherries isn't about luck, and it isn't about having some special variety that other people don't have. It's about understanding the tree's natural rhythm and working with it instead of against it, season after season, year after year. Every single technique I shared with you today is something real growers use in real orchards, and I've tested every one of them myself, so I know they work when you actually apply them consistently. If this video helped you understand your trees a little better, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next, because I've got a whole series planned that builds directly on everything we covered today, and you're going to want to see it. And speaking of what's coming next, in the very next video, I'm going to show you the exact fertilizing schedule I personally use month by month throughout the entire growing season to maximize both fruit size and tree health, including the specific ratios and timing that most gardening articles get completely wrong. So make sure you're subscribed and notifications are turned on, because that video is going to save you a lot of guesswork and wasted money on fertilizer. Thank you for watching. Get out there, take care of those trees, and I'll see you in the next one.